Hey, it's Ash from Simply Planned AU. I'm just going to quickly go through how you can import your transactions from a CSV file downloaded directly from your bank. I'll also have a short blog post about this as well, so if you prefer to read the instructions, I'll pop a link in the description box below that you can see that. Okay, so if we want to import a new CSV file, what we'll do is you go to File in Google Sheets and you click Import, and it'll open up this window here, and then you go to upload, and you should have the file saved in a folder on your computer from where you've downloaded it from your bank. So I've got mine in my downloads, so I'll just go into downloads, and you can either click browse or you can drag and drop that file here. So I'll click browse and I'll quickly scroll through until I find one of my CSV files, and then we'll click open, and then it will import that into Google Sheets, and then it'll give you these options here. So what I usually do, will create a new spreadsheet. You don't want it to replace the current sheet or replace the spreadsheet. You actually want to create a new spreadsheet for it. And then you want it to detect everything automatically, so it will try and format it in the correct format for you. So leave that ticked as well, and then click import data. So then it will have open now, so we'll close, so you can click that and it'll open it up for you. I'll bring it over to this one. So then you'll have your data all opened up in a CSV file that should look something like this. What you'll normally have is a date column, a descriptions. I'm just going to drag this out of it so we can see. You'll have a credit column, a debit column, and a balance column. So the first thing I'm going to do is delete this balance column because we don't need any of that information, so that shall make it a little less confusing. Okay, then what we want to do is just make sure it's recognized our dates. So you can see here all of the numbers here are sitting on the right hand side or justified to the right. That means that the spreadsheets recognize them as a number, or a date is considered a number as well. So you'll see over here these are all justified to the right, so they've all been recognized as numbers. In the description column, these are all sitting to the left, which means that they are a text. So that has an impact on your formulas. If the spreadsheet doesn't recognize it as a number, it won't be able to add it and multiply it and things. So they need to be numbers to recognize and work with the formulas. So this all looks good. Another way you can check if it works is it's got the number here. What you can do is go up to this little tab here with the 1, 2, 3, click on it and just try a different date format. So I'll click this one and it'll actually say January 23. So that means it's formatting it as a date in January 2023, which is correct in what we're looking for. So I'll just undo that one and it'll go back to normal. The only other issue you might run into is depending on what your location settings are set as in your menu, it might accidentally record your dates wrong. So I'm in Australia, but my Google Sheets account for my business is set up to US date format and currency format because I do a lot of my sheets straight into that. So when I actually imported my own transactions in Australia, they registered wrong because we use the date format day, month, year rather than month, day, year. So that's just something to be aware of if you're working within multiple locations or different formats. Okay, so if we go into how we actually would import this into our spreadsheet, I usually like to work with the credits row first because it's usually much smaller than the debit column. So what I'll usually do is just go through the transactions and try and discern what they're for. So some of them are obvious. If it's your salary or something, you know straight away that that is going to go into your income column. So if we'll just pretend, for example, this one, internal transfer, if I pretend this one's actually an income, what I'm going to do is just select the date, the description, and the credit column, the dollar amount column, and I'm going to copy. So you can either Control C or Command C, or you can just right click and copy, and then go over to your spreadsheet, and we'll close this off. And then you just click in that first date column and then you paste. And easy as that, and then you just categorize it for whatever you need. So once you've done that, go back to your CSV transactions and you can just delete this whole column. So if you highlight the number of the row and right click, you can then go down and delete row, and that will get rid of that transaction for you. You can go through if you've got things like internal transfers and things. Sorry, I deleted the wrong transaction there. Usually I would go down from top to bottom, but I'm just trying to find transactions in the list that actually match what I'm talking about. You can go through and, for example, this transfer might be me transferring from one account to another, but it's not actually needed to record it within my transactions because I've already accounted for that money elsewhere. So then you can just highlight and then right click and delete it as well. If it's things like I transfer my mortgage balance into a holding savings account until my direct debits come out of that account, so I would delete the transfer from where my salary comes in. I would delete the transaction from where I send it from there to the holding savings account, and then I would only record it from when it goes from the savings account to my actual mortgage account. So sometimes you might have multiple transactions where it's just you moving money around. You don't want to accidentally double or triple record those, so just pay attention to any money transfers. Another one that I sometimes get is the international transaction fees. So my bank actually rebates all of my transaction fees, so I just go through and delete both of those because it's a duplicate transaction. They cancel each other out, so I don't need to put that into my spreadsheet. It's just going to take up space. I can actually just delete those and it all works out. So then I'm left with a lot longer list normally than this. This is just a short example. So how do I actually get these numbers into my expenses column? Because they are a negative number, and when I'm entering my expenses normally they're all positive numbers, what I need to do is actually get these numbers positive. Now there's a few different ways you can do that. The easiest way is to just highlight the whole column. So you just click the letter at the top, so click D, and then you want to go to search or find. So if you Control or Command F will bring up your search bar, and then if you just click these three little dots for more options over on the right, it'll bring up the full thing. So what we're going to do is a find and replace. So what we want to find is this little dash that is our negative. So if we type that in, just the dash, no spaces, no nothing, and then we want to replace it with nothing. So we're just going to leave that one blank. And then we want to check that in our search it says this specific range. So when you're doing this, you have multiple options. You can say all sheets, this sheet. We just want this range, and then in this box will be the range we've already selected. If you wanted to select a different range, you could also do that then. And then you check all of these things, so that's all fine. So then we just click find, and then we click replace all, and it said replace 12 instances of dash with nothing. So if we click done, and we can already see all of those negative numbers are gone. Now you don't have to worry about it accidentally getting rid of any dashes that it's not supposed to have because of the way the banks record the transactions. As you'll remember, when we had our international transaction fee, credits go in one column, debits go in the other, so you won't need to worry about any extra transactions in this account to account for. They will always be in two separate columns. So what we can do now is just highlight and delete this credit column because there's nothing left in here, and then again we can just highlight this column and just copy our date, description and the amount. So there'll be the three columns, and then you just scroll down however many transactions you have. We don't have that many, so we'll scroll back up and just highlight those transactions, and again either right click and copy or Command C or Control C, and then we're going to paste these into our expenses column. So you just scroll down to wherever you're up to with your expenses, click one click into the date column, and then you're going to paste those amounts, and there you go, they've all been copied straight over there. And then you just go through and categorize them. So Just go down, decide what they're for, click, 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 click through. You can also type if you want to have a shortcut. You can just type the first letter of whatever it is and it'll populate for you to sort the transactions. By typing the letter, it will bring up for you whatever you're trying to search for. It will give you all those options. So I hope that's helped you shave some time off entering your transactions. You can do this in batches, like weekly. You could go through and just select that week. You could do it at the end of the month if you just want to do a roundup. It's totally up to you how often you want to do that. But yeah, I hope that was helpful in explaining how to get the transactions from your CSV file into your spreadsheet. Okay, see you soon. Bye.